Welcome to the Augmentation of Man. I am Renee Miller,
Kent.
and we are bringing the future. Today, we've got a very interesting revelation regarding the Austrafier, who we have talked about before in previous videos. And this is some pretty exciting information that we've pieced
It's
together.
exciting times that we're in right now.
Yeah. And so we want to share this with you, and I encourage you to watch the entire thing because when we get to the end and reveal the final part of it, it's going to
Maybe make sense to you.
everything that's been happening in our world, all the chaos and the craziness is going to start to make sense. And so we're going to share a couple of our notes. They are channeled lessons, channeled messages, predictions, and this is done while Kent is in a deep meditative state.
Okay.
So he hears in his mind, he repeats, and I write it down. And this is going back to 2007, some of these messages. So, and it is in regards to the events that have been taking place in more recent
Yeah.
times. Okay.
So with that,
Let me share my screen here. Okay, so we're sharing this screen. This is meditations that occurred between and messages, predictions between March of 2012 and February of 2018. So they're in chronological order. So it begins, the Austrafier is at hand for many that do not want to partake or participate in the coming events. So this turns out to be a person that is bringing people in that would not otherwise participate in these events. And so, who is the Austrafier? One that has not been, but will be, comes from the other side, a prelude or an event preceding a more important event, a prelude to events of happening. He quietly exchanges to himself to the proper mode given to a task on humans, has always been there unseen. And then I asked, is this a non-physical being? And the answer was as needed. So there are beings, there are spiritual beings that can manifest into a physical state, either by being born here into a human body or manifesting a physical reality or a holographic image. All of that is possible um, in the higher states. And so you want to jump in here, Ken?
Continue.
Okay. So let's dissect this a little bit. This is somebody who has not been, but will be, and comes from the other side, meaning this person existed in the background, has always been there, but unseen, and probably is born into, and we'll get into this, born into this world at this specific time for a specific purpose. It is an event preceding a more important event, which we'll get into, events of happening, things that are occurring. He quietly exchanges himself to the proper mode taken or given to a task on humans. So he is talking to himself about how he's going to manipulate humanity, is where this is going.
How he can manipulate humanity
For a certain purpose, a certain cause. And so where will the Austrafier arise out of was the question. And the answer was chaos to come soon, the planted one. You want to take over?
No.
Well, because then I can get into some of the explanation if you want to read from the
He
script.
steps on the world stage,
Mhm.
and only a nightlight itself will show the cause that he is in from the darkness. So the Austrafier is a must to procreate the understanding and protection. So the understanding of what is going on and the protection
To follow.
to follow. And that could be the protection of the world itself.
Yeah, and as this all unfolds, this video, we can show where this is going.
So November the 4th, the Austrafier to begin.
Mhm.
And November the 4th, 2016, we kind of suspected who the Austrafier is. Coagulate your thoughts into a diametrical understanding.
So, and coagulate and contrast the behavior. So, if we dissect this a little more, this planted one arises out of the chaos. It is considered a triumphant being who's stepping on the world stage. Okay. Our perceptions are much different than the spiritual world perceptions. Okay.
Mhm.
So we have to open our field of vision and think about this with a much more open mind. The Austrafier is a must. So he is needed to produce an understanding and a protection at this time. The Austrafier began November 4th. Coagulate your thoughts, bring your thoughts together into a diametrical understanding. So
Bring
from
the
one
dots.
side to the other, open your field of vision, bring all your thoughts together on this, okay? To form an understanding of the human events that at this time that we received this message
to occur.
that will occur in the future. Now they've already occurred.
Yes.
And we're to contrast the behaviors. Okay. You want to continue?
Secularism is amended on the horizon. Unity will be separated by the masses due to its secular information given by the Austrafier, a deception of cause and effect.
Okay, so secularism, the worldly materialistic world, is going to be amended in the future.
Yes.
Okay. Unity will be separated by the masses. So these are people who are actually dividing themselves out, that are shifting to polarities. This is polarizing, right? And it is due to information that is given by the Austrafier, a deception of cause and effect. So the Austrafier is quietly exchanging to himself the proper mode to be taken on humanity, deceiving for a purpose.
Yes.
There's a cause and effect here. Now, we as humans tend to think of, higher beings as very soft-spoken, very kind, love. You feel this wonderful love.
That's our perception.
Okay,
yeah.
This is our perception, which can be true, right? But this point in time, humanity is being completely redirected. we're going to the next level. This is the end of an old cycle. Everything is antiquated. We're moving into a new higher cycle.
And
Okay.
in order for humanity to learn, it has to be separated to show what is really going on. But the separation started to clear back on November the 4th.
So
November the 4th of 2016.
is our guess, because we weren't given a year. So you want to continue?
Okay, well, separation of internal beings, bringing together the whole.
This is the Austrafier's purpose.
Separating the individual, which he's done, reuniting the magnitude, the significance of the whole. Separation and unification all in the same sentence.
So this is another message that we received while Kent was in deep meditation. They're talking about the Austrafier's purpose being separation of the individuals and reuniting the magnitude or the significance of the whole in the same sentence. So
look what he's done. Austrafier has separated
the people by things
people,
he's saying.
Things he's saying. But now he's bringing together the unity of the world.
Of the whole.
Of the whole world.
But this is under the umbrella of the truth coming out. So this is, we're privy to some of this information, okay? So as the truth comes out and people recognize and acknowledge the truth, this will be the unifier of the masses.
That's true.
These are very unusual sequences that are being orchestrated to redirect humanity's path.
In order for humanity to learn this, how it has to be done. Otherwise, they learn nothing.
Yes. So this is a learning tool. It's very complicated. Can you imagine orchestrating this?
But it's working.
Yeah.
Because it quiet your thoughts to know or think what you know.
To quiet your thoughts to what you know.
Or think what you know.
Yeah.
Polarian diagram, one who pins in a drawing of all connecting parts.
Like you're mapping something out on a piece of paper, how it all connects.
Of the conceptual events can fill in the blanks to your being. Contemplate to understanding. So Polarian diagram, drawing out all the connecting parts.
They're telling us to quiet our thoughts to what we think we know, because it's not what we know. It's not what's going on here. And if we were to draw it out on a piece of paper and connect all these events, then we're acting in a conceptual way. We're connecting the dots, and we're creating the whole panoramic view by doing this.
Which gives you a much, much better understanding of what's really happening.
And something to contemplate.
Yeah.
To bring us to a higher understanding.
And you cannot stop the continuing circumstance for a trail of deception. Now, he has to deceive in order to get truth.
But this is actually going to the next step.
Next step, yes.
Right. So continue.
So it must take place to begin the lockdown.
Okay. So the lockdown is an emergency protocol that prevents people from leaving an area. So what has happened?
Yeah.
In the past years, we have had this viral outbreak,
especially in 2019,
and we
about
were
2020.
in a lockdown.
Mhm.
Okay. So they're telling us that you can't stop what's coming. You cannot stop the continued circumstance for a trail of deception that must take place to begin the lockdown. Truth shall raise its head during the chaos, the Austrafier at work.
Yeah, truth has
So,
been trying to come out ever since 2023. Yeah, all these little bits of truth coming
Mhm.
out.
Mhm.
And now a bombshell has just been released by
Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard.
So last Friday, she released a video, which we will link down below. And it looks like she's got thousands of pages of documents regarding the corruption going on that led up to this COVID outbreak. And so this is the big lesson.
Yeah, so the truth, back then it said the truth shall rise its head during chaos. There was much chaos then.
Mhm.
The Austrafier at work, Darmacious.
Darnacious. Like you're darning.
Darning. No latitude for understanding. A structural collapse.
So what we're doing is we're knitting together or weaving together the understanding. We're creating this big picture where we're connecting the dots, and we have to come to an understanding of why these structures have to collapse, because they're corrupt.
Yeah.
And because it does not serve humanity. Okay, so go ahead.
So the polarization is beginning to cause that effect. Eutheritic, that's quite a word, is a desire to reach a higher self for reflection, reflective cause of why you exist on this plane.
Okay, so we're told that we are in an experiential learning field. We are here to learn through our experiences.
It's true.
And humanity has gotten away from that. So they're saying they use Greek and Latin root words to create new words, to be specific about the ideas that they are trying to transmit. So eutheritic, when it's translated, when its root word is translated, means virtuous. It is a desire, it's virtuous for us to have the desire to reach for a higher self. And that is through reflecting on these experiences and learning from it. Okay? Because once we learn from it, we get a vibrational attunement and our vibration goes up. So it's not just, we can't hold a higher vibration just by feeling good, putting out the right vibes. We can't hold that. It is through raising our vibration, through expanding our understanding, that we can hold a higher vibration. And so we have to learn from these events. And if you're not reflecting, you're not going to be raising your vibration significantly.
So on February 2018, the Austrafier was at work revealing the truth or perceptions. So with that, I want to say the Austrafier is in play.
That was the message, February 2018. So the Austrafier was in play. So you have to think about what was going on February 2018. Who were the players in all this?
Yeah. So with that, Renee asked a question.
And the question was, is this still the separation phase?
And the answer was no. Realization of truth, beginning truth of perception.
So they're telling us that humanity was just starting to realize what the truth was. This is back in February 2018. And the truth of our perceptions, meaning it's shining a light on the fact that our perceptions were off. What we believed to be true wasn't true. But it was just the beginning of what
Just
was
the beginning.
unfolding.
So ocularian phraseology. I'm looking at it and I'm going, that doesn't sound right.
So what that
Oculation,
ocularian
phraseology is at hand.
Ocularian means one who sees, and phraseology is the phrases or the terminology we're using to describe it.
Yeah.
So it is, they're saying that what are we describing that we're seeing? Realization of the truth. We're seeing it playing out, and we're describing what is unfolding before our eyes.
The Austrafier is at hand, precursor to numbness. That's interesting.
So the blue is the definition of the preceding word.
Vicarian attitude adopted from the realm cause.
So, okay, this is a little hard to wrap your mind around, but when you're talking about you have a cause, there's a reason for what is being procured. A placarian is one who uses force to get us to a point of a new way of thinking, okay? Adapted from the realm cause. There's a reason for all this happening.
Minosis will take place to proceed the event.
So minosis is a threatening condition. So something is going to cause people to feel threatened, will take place to proceed or move forward the event.
And look what's happening.
Yeah.
Lately.
Look at COVID.
Yes.
People were in fear. There was a very threatening condition. Okay, so we wrap this up, and this is coming out of the second book, The Augmentation of Man and the Acquiescence of Humanity. Okay. So this was our understanding at the time that this book was published in 2019, right before all of this happened. It was, I think, June of 2019. So our understanding at that time to widen our parameters of thinking and what we see. This is a being who comes from the other side, entering the world stage, quietly exchanging to himself the task to be taken upon humanity to produce an effect of first polarizing, then unifying the masses. By shining the light on our perceptions, the events created will instill a desire within humanity to reach for a higher truth. So when you don't know what's happening, what do? You go searching, right? If you're scared, what do? You go searching. Right. A more widespread understanding of the truth becomes the unifier for the masses. Through this lesson, we learn that certain behaviors and tactics may be utilized to advance the understanding of humans. Yet we often confine our thinking to a box, having certain expectations of how a person should behave, unaware that certain tactics are being used to reshape our thinking process.
We put ourselves in a box back then.
We've been in a box for a long time. Okay, so now
2007, we're going to go back and show you.
These are other messages and predictions that we received, and these are the dates on them.
So in September 2007, I got a virus widespread. Litigious. Ordinance. Litigious ordinance of precognition. The creator is ready to reinforce the concepts to come.
Now, I
Well,
have to say, Kent does not talk like this.
no.
And English was not his best subject.
No.
So this is what he hears in his mind. He repeats, I write down, I record, and then we have to go through the process of deciphering what these words mean.
Yeah.
And so what we've done
Then we
here,
have to do our own research.
yeah, they don't expect us to jump to have our quantum leap by just through osmosis.
That's
Okay,
right.
you have to do the work. So what they're saying here, litigious ordinance, is that there's a process of taking legal action through a piece of legislation, and it is the preliminary examination of through the preliminary examination of witnesses, especially to decide whether there are grounds for a trial. And through this, we are going to be learning, and the creator is ready to reinforce these concepts. We're in a school, guys. This is classroom, okay? And you're in a physics class of sorts.
Swords, yeah.
And so this, they're saying this was back in 2007,
Seven.
that there was going to be a widespread virus and that there was going to be some sort of legal action that would come out of it and a piece of legislation. And it was going to be through a preliminary examination of witnesses, especially to decide whether or not there's grounds for a trial. And who is on trial?
Fauci.
Fauci is on trial.
That's where we're at right now.
And Tulsi Gabbard released that preliminary
Documents.
well, she's released the documents, but there was a preliminary speech that she put out on Friday, which will be linked below. That's about 13 minutes long, briefly explaining what's going on here. And it really sounds like Fauci is going to be on trial.
Yeah. So in October 2012, like looking in a microscope at a virus, and the virus seemed to be long.
Mm-hmm.
So is this a new virus? And it said, watch for it.
So they were telling us again in 2012 that watch for it, there's a virus coming.
Yeah. So October 2016, how widespread will Ebola become?
So there was a Ebola outbreak then. Okay. And I believe that that was when we had about 4 people enter the United States that
came over from
had Ebola.
Yes.
Yes.
So it significant, the beginning in many plagues. That was the beginning of many plagues. So they're still trying to do more plagues. Government quarantine, fallacious intent.
Fallacious intent.
Yeah.
Okay.
So bring your caution with you. The beginning of unnatural things, the art of unnatural beginnings. Calamity is arriving. Unnatural beginnings, fear of the conceptual being.
Okay. So
we know that
they're telling us that there's going to be, that was the beginning. This Ebola outbreak was the beginning of many plagues.
Then came COVID and the monkeypox, and now
measles. Yeah.
I mean, all these different plagues are trying to bring forth.
That this government quarantine was under fallacious intent. And we will see when all these documents are gone through that the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, released that there was a fallacious intent here
by the previous administrations.
Well, at least in the NIH.
Yes.
Okay.
In the NIH.
So bring your caution with you. They're telling us to be cautious because of this quarantine and the intent behind it, the beginning of unnatural things, the art of unnatural beginnings. And this goes back to the gain of function work that's being done at labs around the world.
They're talking about an event causing sudden distress, which the COVID did.
Yes, the COVID outbreak caused a huge amount of distress. And they're telling us that this has an underpinning of the fear of the conceptual being.
Yeah.
So we're moving from perceptual beings in this past cycle, learning about perception, to the next higher cycle, learning about conceptual ideas, the ability to recognize how everything is related and becoming conceptual beings. So they are fearful of humanity being upgraded to conceptual beings because then what happens is they lose their power.
So who fears the conceptual being?
It's those that are holding power.
All those that hold the power, but the native people, they do not. The old ones understand. From the native tribes, the old ones understand. They must play it. This must play out to change the DNA.
So
resonance.
Renaissance, yeah, Renaissance. So it's bringing the DNA back to where it should be because it's been altered. It's with lots of damage. The environment is poisonous.
Yeah.
And so those who are in charge are afraid of losing power, losing the flow of money, because once we become conceptual beings, we won't be under their control anymore because we will know what they're up to.
Yeah, if you want to know how things go, you follow the money trail. The money trail will tell you the truth at the end all the time.
And for some reason, and we don't have this missing piece to this puzzle, is that this is going to shift humanity's DNA. So DNA is, it's not just a spiral, but it's all folded up. And those folds are folded a certain way to express the DNA in a certain way. Does this have an effect on it? Because we also know the DNA is changing from other ways that we have talked about in previous videos that you can visit. We're not going to get into that right now. So
circumstantial movement says watch, bring food, isolation possible.
So they were warning us back then that make sure we had food stocked up because we may very well be isolated.
So what herbs would be most beneficial in protecting against these diseases? And it gave two.
At first.
We received more in hound, horehound, valerian. Those are the first two that was given to us.
Yeah, they described it as hound, and I came back and said, would this be whorehound? And they said, yes, anaerobic dysfunction. So the whorehound, one or the other, whorehound or valerian, causes anaerobic dysfunction. That's bacteria can be either aerobic or not, anaerobic or not aerobic, meaning can they thrive only in oxygen or can they thrive without oxygen? And so it's causing some sort of dysfunction to the bacteria or the viruses, I don't believe, work on that level. So it's got to be a bacteria. It causes some sort of dysfunction at the anaerobic level.
Yeah. So they suggested turmeric, ginger, quinine.
Anyway, they were telling us back then that quinine would work for COVID.
Yeah.
And valerian works by reducing the stress level in the body, which reduces the cortisol, which cortisol, when the levels are high in the body from stress, then that suppresses the immune system. So it works in a more indirect way.
So they talked about quarantine.
Mhm.
So is this quarantine the one we were previously warned about? Said more than one.
So there will be more than one quarantine.
That's right. Lucretius diagnostic approach.
So lucre, Lucr, means for gain or profit. So they're telling us that they're telling us for the first time that this is all for gain, financial gain or profit. Okay. So the pharmaceutical companies were already working on this vaccine for years prior to this COVID outbreak. And they fell in lockstep when the COVID accidentally got out, but we were told it was being developed for future release.
That's right.
So they were working on it to use against the humanity, because there's a group of scientists and professors that believe that we're overpopulated, and they're working on depopulation.
And it was supposed to be used in a future event, but it escaped.
It escaped accidentally at an early time, but everybody jumped on board when it got out.
So it says prepare to isolate your being for a time period.
That there would be variations and fluctuations.
Bring food, quarantine possible.
So again, they're telling us to have food on hand because we may be quarantined. And we should always have food on hand now because we could be quarantined again in the future if there's more than one.
So
at that time, we were living in Colorado.
Yeah. So it said quarantine possible in Colorado, and it said all areas safer there if virus spreads quickly. So be aware of circumstances. Choices will vary. A prelude to exhaustive society. No set rules.
Okay, so they couldn't really tell us every detail because there was no set rules for what was going to happen.
That's right.
But that this quarantine would be in all areas. We would be safer in Colorado if the virus spread quickly. And I would have to say my own personal thought goes to it's because there's probably less density of population. So you're not being exposed as much. At least where we were living, it was less dense.
Less dense, yeah.
Yeah, and told us to be aware of the circumstances and that our choices would vary. And so now, yesterday,
I had a meditation, and we didn't understand it last night. But this morning when we got up, we reread it, and
it really began to make sense.
It makes sense to us. Whoa. We had no idea.
Yeah. And then when I started pulling all these other things in, then the whole picture started to develop. And this is a part of the conceptual learning.
So we'll bring that one up right now, the meditation from last night.
And so this here is the title of this video because this is the message we received last night. So here we have the Austrafier back in the picture again. They're talking about the Austrafier once again after many years.
So we used it. We said the Austrafier was beheaded. We didn't know exactly what it beheaded, how they meant it. Last night, was it political? Was it
Well, but they did answer it later on here.
So later on. So this term was used back in 2019 where we were told um, osteoporosis has set in the human race. Learning has stopped.
So when I looked up the root words for osteoporosis, it means extremely porous. Now, Austra today means southerly, like extreme southern. But our guides had told us that in ancient times it meant extreme. And so we have to go with their definition.
So this word is referring to there is a lot of holes in our understanding. In other words, we don't understand. There's so many holes in it as a race because we have stopped learning.
We're so distracted with the material world, and here we go again. Is like the
follow the money, and you'll see where it's all going.
Well, yeah, we're living in this very materialistic world.
Right. So a channel message from last night. Osteoporosis is the being that was. It is no longer.
Now, when you use the word being, it can mean somebody who's living, but it also can mean a thing.
And Renee asked the question, why is that? And I said, the understanding has shifted. The Austrafier is beheaded. The understanding will prevail. So the word beheaded here, not a literal beheading.
Right. Yes, this is used metaphorically.
That's
and
right.
we will get to their explanation of what they meant. If you hang on just a minute.
Quintariance is the movement of reality. Lucidacious is all that's going to be.
Okay, and again, I have the definitions there in blue. So they're telling us that osteoporosis, the being that was, is no longer. And if we go back up, the term was used back in 2019 in another meditation where we were told osteoporosis has set in the human race and the learning has stopped, and that our understanding has a lot of holes in it. Okay, very porous. And so now they're saying, as of yesterday, that osteoporosis is no longer. And why is that? That the understanding has shifted. So humanity is beginning to learn again. Okay. The Austrafier is beheaded. We'll get into that a little bit. Not a literal meaning. The understanding will prevail. And so we have come through this lesson, maybe not with flying colors, but we have prevailed with a new understanding in this lesson, okay? Quintariance is fifth in a sequence. They talk about, and they did talk about in the past, how there were certain sequences laid out and they had to go in a specific order in order to get humanity from point A to point B.
Because they have to go through all these different
steps
of understanding.
Yes, and they have to be in a very specific order.
That's true.
And so this happens to be, quint refers to fifth in a sequence and is the movement of reality. And so is reality the fifth sequence where reality starts to set in our own thinking? Okay. Lucid, meaning given to being easily understood, is all that's going to be. And so now from this point forward, humanity, for the most part, now this doesn't mean every human being, is going to understand much more easily. And this is going to take us into the next era.
That's right. So when you say is astral porosis in reference to humanity, and they said yes, the non-movement of synchronicity, a valueless meaning.
And so what they were telling us was that osteoporosis was being used in reference to humanity back in 2019, that we had a lot of holes in our understanding, that we weren't learning, we weren't piecing together these events. And now, and what that meant was the non-movement of synchronicity, that the coincidence of synchronicity, meaning the coincidence of events that appear meaningfully related but don't seem to be causally connected. It looks like these are all separate events, but they're not. They're all related.
Yeah.
And that is when we start to think that they're all separate events and they're not related, it has no meaning, no value to our understanding, right? So now that we're starting to connect the dots, this has big importance for our understanding as a race.
So we asked, when you say the Austrafier is beheaded, what is this in reference to? And they said, losing power.
Okay, so is the Austrafier losing power?
But
Or
there's two separate areas. There's the people, the average person themselves, and there's the elite. Is he losing the power with the elite because he's going against everything they want, which is making money and materialism, or the people that don't care so much about the money, just enough to survive? So I think he's going against the very elite.
you know, this is a story that is still
That's my
unfolding.
opinion.
So we need to pay attention to these events as they close, as these documents are released. We need to know what's in those documents. We need to understand what has happened here, how we have been deceived, how this event was being planned to depopulate, how the pharmaceutical companies were already working on a vaccine prior to this even being released. We have to go back to this event, what was it, 2019, put on by Bill Gates, and how he even was predicting there was going to be a viral outbreak.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, he was. I think, in my opinion, he was behind funding this. Outbreak.
He may well have been. So, how will the question was, how will understanding prevail?
Yeah,
And the answer,
truth will manipulate understanding. In other words, it will control understanding. Coherence of justification.
so the truth coming out will control our understanding. You know, when the relationship of when they put out all these facts and the relationship of all those facts come together, how do they all relate? How does all these moving pieces relate?
Yeah.
Then this is going to shift our understanding, and it will bring about a new truth.
Yeah. Don't make an opinion until you have all the facts.
Yes.
So everything is out.
Don't jump to a conclusion.
Yeah, you can jump to a conclusion. The conclusion could be wrong. Connect the dots. Wait till all the dots are there and then connect it. Then you'll see the whole picture.
Yes.
Don't make your judgment prior to having all the truth.
And do your own homework.
Yes. And I keep saying that over and over and over and over.
Mhm.
Excuse me. Do your own research by yourself or with another group or with another person. Do it together. Do the research yourselves.
Mhm. Yeah, see, Fauci was in control of the flow of information, and he was trying to protect himself. When the light started shining on him, he started deflecting it. And so he had the ability to tell the public,
The world.
yeah, whatever narrative he wanted the public to understand, and
everybody,
everyone in government, and everybody just fell in line because they were scared because of this threatening event, right? The COVID was so scary when it came, it started to
and now they tried
come out.
Yeah, and they tried new ones, the monkeypox, and
and we've
they've tried putting out different plagues since then.
Yeah, for depopulation.
Yeah, for depopulation, but nobody's believing them.
And I did ask specifically if HIV was one of them because our guides had indicated that this was not the first time this has happened. This is going back in history. And they confirmed, our guidance had confirmed that HIV was another virus that was released on a population for depopulation purposes.
Yes. So what I'm saying is get together with your friends that think alike, do the research, don't believe everything you're told.
Especially mainstream media.
Especially mainstream media. That's all the media. But when you do your own research, you will be totally shocked and surprised at what you find.
Yeah. So
with that,
if you have a different interpretation of these messages, which are unadulterated, they're exactly the way that we receive them. We've just added the definition of the words that they have constructed. Give us those thoughts that you have down below. Leave some comments.
And you're going to put a link to that 13-minute of
Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah. Okay. So we hope that you have gained a new understanding and you think about this, go back and reflect on it. That's our job. That's how we learn, is through reflection.
Yeah, we've got a whole bunch of future coming up and very shortly.
And I want to circle back to the part about the message that we received previously about the Austrafier and protection. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you know what is going on, when you've connected the dots and you figured it out and you understand that there is this whole hidden agenda and that there is money making behind death, then
you'll see what the
you start to, but you also start to watch your environment.
Yeah.
And you know when something is coming down, like say the next quarantine or the next virus outbreak.
Yeah.
You know what it's all about, and you can start holding those people in charge accountable.
Hopefully accountable.
Yeah. And this is what results in the protection. So
with that, I hope you stayed with us and you got something from this.
Hit the like button if you got something out of this.
Yeah.
Leave us a comment. And we will pick the ball up and start rolling again. We were doing a major road trip, so we've been gone for a while. Anyway, welcome back. Take care.
Take care of yourself.
Peace be with you on your journey to enlightenment.